I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. I'm sitting here in my yarn shop, and I'm sitting here with Robin, who is the videographer, I guess that's the right word, who gives me helpful producer. She's the producer, and she helps me enormously filming these and editing and helping me along as we go. I wanted to tell you what I'm wearing. This is Melanie Burke's Pink is for Power, made in the Amano Sami. And this is a really easy lace pattern, I have to say. It was easy to do. I don't think I made any mistakes that I could see, which must mean it's easy. And speaking of Melanie Burke, she designed this while she was undergoing treatment for breast cancer. And I wanted to remind you that October is Breast Cancer Month, and we'll be doing a knit-along in the shop, I'm sure. Probably be on Friday or Saturday. I'm assuming Friday. And we haven't figured out what the pattern will be or how we're going to do it, but it'll be something. It'll be something fun, I think, and worthy. Maybe we'll even do a collection for breast cancer. Something, I don't know. I wanted to show you I have a new whip. Doesn't mean I've finished my old whips, but I'm close on them. But I made a deal with myself. So this isn't yarn you can get in the shop, but we have tons of yarns that would work for it. This is called Stratified, and it's by Tiff Nealon. I love her designs. And I think you can get this on Ravelry. This was in a book, though. It was in the worsted book put out by Lena Publishing. Lina. I never say that right. In any case, this is worsted, and this was a yarn that I picked up at Rhinebeck last year, the big fiber festival. And as I was making plans to go again this year, I said, I cannot go and buy yarn, because I know I'll buy yarn, if I haven't knit the yarn I got last year. So my goal is to finish this by the end of this month and start another one in the beginning of September, and hopefully with some other yarn that I had. So then I'm going to allow myself to buy something. Anyway, it's a very fun striped pattern, and as you can see, there's detail in there's some patterning going on in some of the rows. Looks like so far every other row. And I love this one especially. This is, excuse me, knitting into the back of the stitch like a twisted stitch. And so there's one row of that, and I think there's 2 rows of plain knit and another row of the twisted stitch, and then a plain row. But I like how it came out, and this is a similar one, though I think this has a slip stitch in it. So anyway, I find it fun. I love these colors when I pick them. And this yarn is it's from Horsehounds and Plies, I don't know. It was from an indie dyer I think from New York State, and it's, this is Polwarth, the wool. It's a toothy kind of wool, but it's soft. It would be something, I mean, it's a little coarse, but if you put it on or put it on your skin, it's not the least bit itchy. It's lovely. So anyway, that's what's going on there. I wanted to, I put a question to my staff about what makes a good knitter. Here are their answers, and I thought these might resonate with you, so I hope so. This is from Leslie Goldenberg, who teaches here on Mondays. She says, give yourself a break if you make mistakes when starting a pattern. It often takes me a couple of attempts to get started correctly on a pattern. And that is so true. That's the same with me. You've got to be willing to make a mistake in the beginning and take it out and start again. And I almost always have to take it out for whatever reason. Know that each designer has their own way of explaining a pattern. So that's very true. And Ravelry does not have, what would you say, standards. There's no standard form of how patterns should be written or explained. And even if you buy books or you see patterns in magazines, they're not going to be, every designer is different. She says, I like to have a couple of projects going. One that is simple for watching TV and for car trips. The other, more challenging and interesting. And I agree with that. She says, if you are questioning how something looks and you aren't happy with it early on, you will probably feel the same way later. Better to rip back early instead of later. Get comfortable with Ravelry. Keeping good notes both helps you along with helping others. Oh, keeping good notes, and it helps others if you like post notes on Ravelry. It's a great thing when you post your project. I always read people's notes before I start. When starting a pattern, I always look for the notes on Ravelry to see what others have to say about it. And that's so true that you should do that. And you should also see how many people have done it. One person, and I've said this before, if one person has done it since 2017, I don't think it's probably going to be a great pattern. Let's see, invest in a small neck light. It helps tremendously when knitting with a dark color or in a dimly lit room. And that's, you can notice that. Say you've been knitting at night and then you pick up your piece the next morning and start knitting. It's like, oh, I didn't really know it looked like this. It's amazing. So having good light. And she said I could go on, but these are the first things that come to mind. Thank you, Leslie. Oops, I printed her out twice. Joanne, who many of you have met, teaches Wednesday nights and works on Saturdays. She says, practice. Don't be afraid to frog or rip. Don't accept a mistake and say it looks good enough. Don't accept that a mistake looks good enough. Learn to frog back and fix it. And sometimes those mistakes later on stick out like a sore thumb. So learn, and that's one thing that's really important, is learn how to either rip back several rows and put your stitches back on the needle. That's critical to be able to do that. You do not want to rip out 3 rows going stitch by stitch by stitch. That's just such a waste of time. Let's see. This is from Lisa, who teaches on Saturdays. She says, I like to tell people learning that there is a lot of math in knitting. First and foremost, count your stitches regularly. You can drop one and think you made an increase and have forgotten what that is. This will mean less going back or figuring out a fix, but there are always lots of ways to fix things. A lot depends on the problem, where the problem lands, how visible it is, and ripping back is a fine art. Writing down the progression of stitches by increase in various ways, like every 4th row, do that at the beginning of the project. Then check the expected numbers guide in the pattern. If written down on your pattern or a notebook, you can check yourself as you go, not wait until the end of the pattern section and find out you have too little or too many stitches. This is what I mean about math. So it is vital that you make counts. Also look on your pattern, often pattern designers will have the number of stitches that you should have in each segment. So take the time to count. And gauge is important, but you can pick a slightly different gauge if you adjust the size appropriately. I only do this as I feel like the knitted gauge, if I feel like the knitted gauge swatch looks good for the yarn on the size needle you knitted on. It could be different from the recommended gauge or the yarn in the pattern. However, as Nancy often says, this can be a little tricky thing to adjust if you aren't confident. So ask a knitting friend or a teacher. Yay! And this one is from Beth, who just arrived here to work. Join a class or participate in a workshop. When I retired, I joined a class and improved quickly. I have been knitting off and on for a long time, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Like make one right, make one left, Kitchener stitch, long tail cast on, just to name a few things. Great. This is from Catherine, who's always on leave in the summer, and she'll be back and join us in October. Yay. Her first recommendation is have fun. Have two pieces going. Here's another one that agrees with that. One that challenges, one that you can almost do with your eyes closed, but don't close them. I do. Sometimes when I'm really tired, I'll close my eyes and knit with my eyes closed for a while. And if you're just doing plain knit or plain purl or knit purl, as you get more experience, you will see that you don't need to be looking at your stitches.
And if it's bad, you fix it on the next row.
If it, as Robin says, if it's bad, fix it on the next row. Try to avoid mistakes by paying close attention to your instructions and your work. Be deliberate and slow down when doing a complicated pattern and count your stitches often. Mm-hmm. Stitch markers are lifesavers.
Amen.
Amen is right, and that's a good one for me to learn, because sometimes I knit faster than I read the pattern, and therefore I make mistakes. When things go wrong, the worst that can happen is that you can rip out and choose to start your project again. Or not. Or like the rest of life, there are do-overs in knitting. Well, that's true. There are some do-overs in life, but in knitting, there are lots of do-overs.
Always a do-over.
Yep. Be patient, and again, never forget, have fun. Bonnie, who teaches on Fridays and works in the shop, she said, "Dear Nancy, I could keep giving you more, but here are 6 suggestions. 1, realize that we are all individuals with our own skill sets and aesthetics. For example, when I began to take classes, I realized that I was a slow knitter compared to many of my colleagues. Therefore, I felt deficient. However, I finally accepted the fact that I was a process knitter, and I get my joy from knitting by watching each stitch come off the needle." That's really interesting, because there is something mesmerizing or magical about how you're creating these stitches, and especially if you're knitting with a needle that you love. I have some needles that I love, and I love the motion of it, just how it feels, and
so good
when it slides off the needle. That's a great one.
I don't understand how people can knit with bamboo.
Oh, I've knit with, Robin says she doesn't know how people can knit with bamboo. The newer clover bamboo needles are sharper, and I actually enjoy knitting with those sometimes. And sometimes if that's the only needle I have, I'll use it. Accept who you are and what knitting gives to you. Each time I begin a project, I look for a new technique I would like to incorporate in my knitting experience. Number 3, knitting can be an enriching activity, whether you do it at home in the quiet of your house or be as beneficial when you meet with others in a social community. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ravelry is your friend. Definitely learn how to read and interpret the information on the ball bands of your skeins of yarn. Boy, is that true. So you should learn the information on your ball band is critical. People often come in and say, well, how many yards are on here and what's the gauge? And I say, it's all on the ball band. I mean, I mostly know it because I know all the yarns that I have in the store. But it's good for you to know when you're choosing yarns and there isn't a store person available to help you, or if you're trying to buy something online, although you don't see ball bands online usually.
They usually put all the information on our
Yeah,
website.
we do. But if you're looking from other shops, yeah, Robin said, don't look at other yarn shops. This is from Bree, who works here on Saturdays. She said, oh, I love this question. First thing that comes immediately to mind for me is community. Sitting down regularly with others of various skill levels is one of the ways I get new ideas, learn new techniques, figure out patterns or fixes, and hone my own skills by teaching others what I know. That's brilliant. I think that's, finding a knitting community, a group of people. We have the classes we have in here. I often hear people say, I just love these women. And we form bonds with knitting, and people are interested in what everybody else is doing. They have fun with it, what everybody else is doing. But they have this love of yarn that draws them together into a community, and they really, I think, working in a group with a lot of people is a really great experience. This is from Fiola, who we don't see that often, but she works behind the scenes, from Maine. He said, knit often. If you don't have a lot of time, at least pick up your knitting for 10 to 15 minutes every day if you can. I agree with that. This will help with muscle memory, which is so true. Sit in a comfortable seat. Change your chair or position if you aren't comfortable, which is so true. I was at a friend's house over the weekend, and she has this wonderful, comfy chair, and I had my project that I just showed you, but I brought the wrong colors with me, so I couldn't go any further. So I took a great book from her bookcase, but I was sitting there and there was light coming in, and I thought, I want a chair like this in my house so I can sit in a chair like this in the afternoon and knit and just
What kind of chair was it?
be. It was just a stuffed chair, a
Club chair.
yeah, club chair, kind of. But it was so lovely. She says, sit in a comfortable seat. Change your chair position if you aren't comfortable. Right. If your hands, shoulders feel tight, treat yourself to a massage. Yay. That's a great one. And Margaret, somehow I don't have one. I didn't get one from Paige. Oh well, she might have been busy.
Next week.
If I get one from her. Thanks for asking. I have loved reading everyone's responses. I don't have much to add that hasn't been said. Here's one thing that makes me a better knitter. Anytime I am away, I try to find a local yarn shop and strike up a conversation. Talking is how I learn. I hear what they are knitting, what local yarn they carry, and what new patterns they are emphasizing. Knitting networks are so important, and each time you meet someone new, it is bigger. I do love Fiola's suggestion of knitting every day, especially if you have something that you find is a bit of a slog. Boy, is that true.
Right.
So I have some kits here, and they are
We can thank
for
Beth for that.
Beth made up these kits yesterday, so I have to show them to you. They're for this shawl that I love. It's huge, but you can make it as big as you want. This is called Color Riot, which I'm sure I have shown before. And this is made with some variegateds and some solids. And you can do as many or as little as you want. But I wanted to show you the kits that we made up. These are not going to be online until Sunday or Monday. But I wanted to show them to you, and you can get these. So get your pencil and paper out and take notes. If you want one of these, you can call the shop and we can send it to you. You call the shop and give us your credit card and we'll send it. So this one is called Letter Opener, which actually is the name of this yarn. This is Fino from Manos, and these are the Finos, Fino minis from Manos, and this kit is called Amelia. So wouldn't that be fun with the white and these colors? And this has a generous amount of yarn on it, and these total about 400. I don't have the Color Riot pattern, but I believe this is plenty to make it. This is about 490 yards, so it's quite a bit. And this yarn is super, super soft. So that one's called Letter Opener, if you are interested. And this one is called Seville Row. Seville, I don't know. And we named them after the color, the main color Fino. So this would be the main color. And then look at these fun colors. Now these on your screen, these may look the same, but they are not. This is a white and a pale, pale peach and an even paler pink. This is pink probably. But aren't they pretty with this? So remember, this is Seville Row. And over here we have some more. This one's called Daphne. I was going to say drop me. It couldn't be drop me. It's Daphne. Daphne.
Daphne.
Yeah, I thought it said drop me. I need to get my glasses changed. Okay, so look at that pink. So this is called Haversham.
Yes, because there's another Havisham, so I named
Okay.
it for the kit.
Okay, so these are the colors that go with this. Aren't they fun together? You can see it this way. So this is the little mini skein kit. It's called Daphne. Very pretty colors that I would love to do. And this one's called Corsage. Oh, yummy. So this has some tonal color changes in it. It's really beautiful. And this has the same one we had before, Clarice, I think it's called. But isn't that, aren't they pretty together? I love this. And this yarn is just, it's a single ply. I don't know if it's a superwash. I don't think, no, it's not. It's merino and silk. That's why it's so yummy. And so are these. Are the same. Yes. 70 merino, 30 silk. And this one is called Dog Rose. And I thought, what a funny name for a colorway for a yarn. And thank you to Carol Winter, one of our viewers, who asked a question. What is Dog Rose? Well, we looked it up, and it's a pink rose. It's a climber, I guess, but the kind of rose. So we put these together with it, which is nice, but isn't that a yummy, it's like a deep bubblegum color with coral sort of tones to it. And again, with these, with Clarice, I think it's Clarice. Yep. Clarissa. I was wrong. Clarissa. So very pretty together. And do we have any others? Corsage we did.
There's this one.
Oh, topsy-turvy. I love this colorway. So topsy-turvy is this, I call it an acid green, but I love this color. I think it's just, it's so vibrant, it's so unusual, I really love it. And these are the colors that go with it. Look at this with pink. And then with the coral, gorgeous. And the green,
It's a
that
riot.
just,
It is a riot.
it's a color riot. I don't know about this color. I think this would work too. I'm just sort of questioning the 4 of them together, but 5 of them. But I think it'll work. I think it's
very
good.
cool.
Those together, just, ugh. Again, the Pheno skeins are all kind of tonal, which makes them fun. And finally, this one is Havisham. And Havisham this is the colorway of this one. We had it before in another one. And with these, is that just gorgeous? Wow. Well, look at those with the pink. So I would have fun doing that. So this is all for the Color Riot shawl, and it's a lot of fun to do. And by the way, it's easy to do. So I have one last, oh, Robin, can you grab I forgot the cowl.
Oh, got it.
This is a kit we had, I want to say last winter,
In the fall.
maybe. It's called Stately Windows. This is the time we want to start thinking about winter knits. I know some people are already making holiday presents. So this is a good one to do. And look, they are like stately windows. So what they did and what we did was took a solid. This is all Rios, which I think is a perfect yarn for this. And then look at how striking this would be with these colors against the black. And these, again, write it down because they might go in as kits, but it wouldn't be till next week. So this is Rios Anniversario and the Rios Black. So it's these two together. And then we have, this is a new color for us called Pisces. Isn't that gorgeous? I think there are a lot of other colors that would go with it too besides this, but we put it with a gray so that you get the feeling of the molding around like a stained glass window. So I love those colors. And again, this is Pisces and Lobo Merino. And next we have Savedoria and Piedras. Piedras is a color we've stocked for a long time, which I just love. And it sometimes, as those of you who knit with Rios will know, their colors are not always the same when they come in, just like Dyed in the Wool from Spin Cycle. So these vary somewhat, and I think that's what's fun about them. So they're not always the same, but these are quite beautiful together. And then we have this one we just got back in stock, which I love, Siri. And this is gray with, oh, Siri, that was my phone. That scared me. My phone went, uh-huh. Oh my gosh. I thought, where is that person? That is a riot. So it's called Siri. This is it. I'm not saying it out loud again. And this is called Dunas. Again, you know, you want something that will show off these colors inside the window. And finally, we have, this one is Cereza and Medusa. And I love this one. I love these speckled ones. And it's just, look how pretty that will be with this. And again, you can pick and choose off our website too, because these are on the website. We have a lot of the Rios colors in, but this is an easy pattern of just slipped stitches, knits, and purls. So you can do it. And I guess I would like to end with some of my tips for being a better knitter. I think one of them is having a really positive attitude, not being negative and saying, I can't do that. You can do, and my philosophy in life is you can do anything you want to do. And knitting is not so hard. It's just following, like cooking, following a recipe. And if you don't understand something, get help. Read it out loud. Have somebody read it out loud to you, which will make a difference. So that's one of my many, many, many tips I could. And I really agree with, and now I forget who said it, knit, I think it was Fiola, knit every day. Don't join a class and then knit in the class and don't pick up your knitting till the next day. Everybody has 10 minutes or 15 minutes in their day where they could sit down and knit. And it's such a calming, wonderful thing to do that if you sit down and knit for 10 or 15 minutes, I think it will improve your day. It will improve your
You knit 4 or 5 hours a day.
Robin knits 4 or 5 hours a day.
I'm still trying to get better.
I don't, I'd like to. I don't necessarily have time. You know, and I have 4 or 5 hours at night, but then I fall asleep. I'm too tired. I know someone, I think it's Joanne, who gets up at 5 and knits before she has to go to work at like 7 or 7:30. She gets a cup of coffee and she sometimes sits outside and knits. It's a great thing to do, and I love to knit in the morning. It's like if I don't have to go to work in the morning, which I sometimes don't because we don't open until 1, I can't wait to finish my coffee and sit down and start knitting.
Sharper.
And I do it, and I do it before I do almost anything else in my house. And as anybody knows who knows me knows I don't do much in my house. Anyway, I think that's all I have. We have something quite special coming up in 2 weeks. And I'm not going to say what it is, but it's pretty special. And you will like it. We don't have any workshops lined up at the moment, but this is kind of a busy time for people. People are coming back from being away all summer, getting kids ready for school. If you're a teacher, you're getting ready to go back to school. I have friends who are teachers who are already going to meetings and stuff. So when people say teachers have it really great, they have 3 months off in the summer. No, they do not. They mostly have a month and a half. And they're, in the end of June, if they're busy cleaning up and attending meetings, so then there's like maybe a week or 2 left in June. They have all of July off, and then you have to start thinking about getting back to work in August, and then there's always meetings and preparation in the middle of August, and then boom, you're off and running. I didn't mean to give that speech, but I was a teacher, and I've often had people say, well, you have such a deal, you have all that time off. Well, first of all, teachers don't get paid that much. So if they got paid a whole lot more, I might agree with you, but I don't. Anyway, I think that's all I have for today. I'll get off my soapbox, and I will see you next week. So have a good week of knitting. Knit a little every day. Bye-bye.